Hello and welcome again to Charles Kelly Money Tips. Today I want to talk about the Thomas Cook saga, scandal, and the company going into liquidation, which has left thousands of people stranded and thousands of people out of pocket, as well as something like 9,000 staff members out of a job. And you've probably heard about this on the news, but I thought I'd cover it in this episode and just give you some information which may help you if you've been affected by this, this sad event. Now, people booking package holidays as opposed to flight-only deals are normally covered by the ATOL scheme, which is ATOL. You may see it on travel agents' logos and signs. They have a little circle and they have ATOL, and this is the association of it's the scheme that protects. It's run by the Civil Aviation Authority. It's the scheme that protects people who are booking through package holidays, and it's law. You have to be covered by ATOL when you're booking a package holiday. When we say a package holiday, we mean that you've gone to the company and said, right, I'm booking this hotel and this flight. It's packaged up. There's half board, there's full board, there's transfers, all that sort of thing, as opposed to going online and booking separate bits like I've done, is book a flight and then a hotel all separately. So that's a package holiday, and they've issued a statement, ATOL. It says the law says that your holiday must be protected if it's a packaged holiday. ATOL stands for Air Travel Organisers Licence, and all the travel agents pay into this scheme. It's a UK financial protection scheme, and it protects most air package holidays sold by travel businesses that are based in the UK. Thomas Cook is based in the UK. The scheme also applies to some flight bookings, usually those where you book flights including UK domestic flights but do not receive your tickets immediately. This scheme was first introduced in 1973, and the popularity of these package holidays grew in the 70s when you had cheap packages to Spain and Torremolinos and Benidorm, and it's a scheme that then protected those people in case the company went bust or the hotel went bust. All these things can happen. It may not, in this case it's the travel agent, but it can be lots of different things. It can be flight, airlines, whatever, going bust. So it's designed to give reassurance to consumers that their money is safe, and they'll provide assistance in the event of a travel failure. So it's a good scheme, and it will protect you. Now, Thomas has confirmed that UK companies in its group have ceased trading, including Thomas Cook Airlines. The government is working here with the Civil Aviation Authority, the CAA, now working together to do everything possible to get passengers home. And it's supposed to be the biggest peacetime airlift, air repatriation scheme since the war. So it's a really big scheme, and they're doing their best, but a lot of people are going to be stranded. We've heard reports that the people are out there in Turkey and Greece, and they're in a hotel and they don't know what's happening. Their flight's not booked to get back. There's no staff because the staff are probably all gone home, or they're not getting paid, and they've been sacked. So it's a very difficult situation. They can't get information. I can only imagine what it must be like being abroad with kids and all that sort of thing. It must be terrible. Depending on your location, they've issued a statement saying there'll be either CAA operated flights, or they'll use existing flights with other airlines, blah blah blah. So if you're due to depart from a UK airport with Thomas Cook Airlines, please do not travel to your UK airport, as the flight will be cancelled. Now, people up to last weekend were told that they must travel. So they said if you don't travel, then you're not covered. So people are kind of left in limbo with this. And anyway, if you can get more information, there's a website here. It's just thomascook.caa.co.uk, and you can find that on my moneytipsdaily.com website as well, which I'll put it up there. And the ATOL website, you can also Google ATOL, Google ATOL, is caa.co.uk, and then ATOL protection after that. So you can probably Google that, would be easier. Now, you can claim back money if you've only booked a flight and you think, well, you're not covered. You can still claim it back, as most people will pay for these with a credit card. So you can go back to your credit card company, and the credit card company will charge that back from the company And that's been around for a long time. I think it's under the Consumer Credit Act. Now, a lot of people pay by debit card and they think they're not covered, but you may also be covered by that under what's called a chargeback scheme. So you need to talk to your bank about that. If it's a credit card payment, then talk to your credit card company about that as well. And credit cards are useful because they protect people in all sorts of situations, like people ordering furniture by card, and the company goes bust, they can get their money back. And when you have a dispute with an online retailer, you can usually get your money back on a credit card. Although not all of them are as helpful as others, but I've had money back from a credit card company. You can normally get it back. Now, it's very sad because Thomas Cook is probably the oldest travel agency in the world. It's probably started the whole travel agency industry, and it goes back to 1841 when the original Thomas Cook arranged a rail excursion from Leicester to Loughborough. So that was the first travel agent's deal there. And since then it's grown into this worldwide company. It helped, the Victorian Brits get around the world. I think, probably a lot of these explorers and Livingstone probably travelled with Thomas Cook, and obviously in those days by rail and sea. But it was that name, that established name that you thought would always be there. But recently it's become burdened with huge amounts of debt, billions of pounds worth of debt, over £1 billion. And it's basically just run out of cash and run out of support from its bankers. The bankers have just run out of patience, so they've left the directors with no choice but to put the company into liquidation. Because if the company is insolvent, you cannot legally trade. You'll be trading while it's insolvent, and that would put the directors in a lot of trouble. But I believe that the insolvency, the government insolvency practitioners will be looking into this because they feel that the company has been mismanaged and not run very well. So it is very sad. But look, what is the underlying problem here? This is one of the biggest travel agencies in the world. They've just been bought by a Chinese company, so they must have felt that that they were still viable. But I think the underlying problem here is that it's the general demise in the use of travel agents. I mean, I haven't. Not just travel agents, but package holidays. I have used travel agents in the past few years, and I do regularly to arrange flights. But I don't think I've booked a package holiday for maybe 30 years. I think when the kids were young, booked a package holiday to Spain, and since then I've never booked another package holiday. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but I just like to travel independently, and this is before the internet, rather than being herded around on buses with everybody else. And also I found that packaged holidays were sometimes low quality. Flights were pretty poor, and long delays and poor service, that sort of thing. So I've just gone off package holidays altogether. And the idea of going out to a travel agent and getting one of these brochures and catalogues, and you look through all the holidays and you pick your hotel and you say, oh, that's got a swimming pool, that's got an indoor pool, that has a tennis court. We just don't do that anymore. Now with the internet coming along, it's so easy to go online and almost get a cheaper deal by getting your flight and hotel separately. I look on my phone, I've got booking.com, I can check hotels instantly, I can check flights very quickly. So I wonder if that's part of the problem, the general demise in the use of travel agents and of packaged holidays. I know a lot of people still probably like to go down the high street. And, we've seen the boom in travel agencies over the years, the 70s boom when they started, but 80s as well, where, if you look in a typical high street, there could be 3 travel agencies there. There's a Thomas Cook and a Thompson, which is now TUI, and there was a Lund Poly, and all these companies were there. And there's still some around, but I think their days are probably numbered. Maybe there'll still be some specialist travel agencies like Trail Finders who arrange trips for backpackers and people who want specialist holidays and very expensive packages. I mean, it's still useful to go into a travel agent and say, look, I don't want to just go there and back again. I want to go there and there and there and there. And then I've found that a travel agent is very good then at arranging those kind of flights where you maybe flying somewhere to Asia and you want to break in Dubai, or you want to break in Singapore and then you go on to Australia. Then travel agents are very good. But for booking a 2-week package to Turkey or something, I just haven't used it. And it appears that a lot of other people are moving towards doing their own thing online. And maybe that's the problem with Thomas Cook, or maybe it's that they have just made some bad deals. They bought another tour operator, which hasn't worked out very well. They tried to get into hotels, and maybe they've just been running competently. We'll have to see what happens with that. But I'll move on from that. So if you're in that position where you've been affected, get onto ATOL, or get onto your bank if it's a credit card payment, and I hope you get yourself sorted out. And just be careful when you're booking any flight or any holiday to make sure that you're booking it through a reputable firm, because these things can happen. Airlines do go broke, especially budget airlines. Maybe the price of oil goes up and suddenly they're unviable, they can't survive, and a lot of them went broke in the last 10 years. So just be careful who you do book through. I would book through a reputable company, even if you're paying a little bit more. The word of the day appropriately is liquidation. We've talked about what is liquidation. Liquidation is the legal term for the ending of a legal company, basically preventing the company from doing business or employing staff. So it's cease of business. Business is finished. And if you try and go on Thomas Cook's website now, you'll be diverted to the CAA website because they're out of business basically, and thousands of people will lose their job. It's also possible to technically to be solvent and unable to repay debt, but this can occur when the company is cash insolvent, and with the assets that exceeds its liabilities, but unable to source additional funds. But the primary difference now, a lot of people say, what is administration? A lot of people think Thomas Cook have gone into administration, but it's not. It's in liquidation. It's gone bust. In the difference between the two is that company administration is where the company aims to repay the debts or escape insolvency, which liquidation is effectively insolvency, and they basically try and restructure things. So if the administrators had gone in, they might have said, well, look, we can sell off parts of Thomas Cook, we can pay this off and pay that off. We can't pay all the creditors, but we can restructure things, renegotiate the loans, and then get them back into business. I think they call it Chapter 11 in America. Whereas liquidation, which is what is happening here, is the process of selling all the assets before dissolving the company completely. So if there are assets there, they would be sold off and would pay creditors, people who they owe money to, and then the company would be shut down. And this is, of course, after the liquidation team have taken their fees, which will probably run into millions by the time they've sifted through that. So when a company goes into liquidation, basically your money is gone. So if you've supplied to Thomas Cook, you've supplied them with whatever, oil or goods and services, the chances are you're not going to get your money back because you're not covered by these things that the consumers are covered by. So that's all for now. Sorry, it's such a downer this episode, but I hope you do get sorted out if you are travelling or stuck somewhere, and let's hope for better days. Thanks for listening, and thanks for everyone who tuned in on Facebook Live. Hi there to some people there, Jerry, Cosmin, John. Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, and do look at my website, moneytipsdaily.com, where I'll put a full transcript of this episode on there with the website addresses and that sort of thing. So moneytipsdaily.com. Thanks very much. Bye for now. Have a great evening.